Okay, so this will just go over the whole process. I'll kind of do an overview of what I did first and then dive into more of the details. It's a lot of information and there's a lot of stuff going on. So it took me a while to get everything set up correctly, but it looks to be set up correctly now. So it just takes a little bit of knowledge on query strings and passing data between surveys. And even though it's the same survey, passing it to the same survey over and over. So we'll get started then. So the first thing that we needed to do is set up in the survey flow. We need to capture all this information so we can use it in other surveys, in the other surveys that we pass to. So we survey here is so we can say what survey to go to. So if survey is empty, so if there's nothing in the link, then go to this first block. If survey is 2, then go to this block. Survey 3, go to this block. And I'll explain a little bit more about having this survey in the link in a bit. And then we got first name, last name, email, and then the director's emails and names as well. So we can use those in the other surveys, in their surveys that they're taking. So we want the first person to take the survey, the student to take the survey, and then we want an email to be sent to the first director for approval. So if we go into tools and then triggers, and this is a lot of information here. There's a lot of triggers here. The first one, it doesn't put them in order, which will get kind of confusing, but just bear with me here. So our first one is email 1 to go to first co-director. So this is the first email that goes out to the co-director. If we click into that, we'll see that the to email address, this is all I did here is go into pipe text, put my cursor down here, go into pipe text, and then went to survey question, and then went to student's email address, put that in. Actually, sorry, this is to the director, so we want the email address of the director. So I clicked that, took that value, cut it out, and then put it up here. And then that means it will go to the first director. So the next thing we do is I have the first choice and the second choice, which is the first name and last name, is requesting approval. So all I did here, like I said before, is question, first name, and then last name is requesting approval. And then here's this link. Now, to get all this information in this link, this is what's called a query string. So everything after this question mark is a query string. As you'll see, SID equals SV, equals SV, blah, blah, blah. This is the survey ID. And everything after that, you'll see there's an ampersand sign. And then there's some information like first name equals this pipe text. Last name equals this pipe text. So we're getting all this information and setting it into this embedded data, first name, like we did in the survey flow. First name, last name, we're setting this pipe text of first name and last name to this embedded data, first name, last name. And then all these other features. And you'll see after every time we have first name equals and then the pipe text, we then do an ampersand sign to show that we're having another embedded data added. So then we'll do last name and then an ampersand sign and then first co-director and then on from there. And so I got all the things here that are in the survey flow. The first thing I did is get the link and distribution. So I got this link. went back into email triggers. So I copied that, went into email triggers, and then went to this one, started a new email trigger, then set this all up. And you'll see that I have 2 here. We don't need 2. I was doing some testing. But you'll see that I changed it from HTTPS to www dot. There's a reason for this. It has to do with proxy URLs and stuff. You don't have to worry about it too much. Just remember to change the front to www instead of HTTPS, or it won't work properly. And then we have all these values that we're passing in to the next survey. So this is pretty much passing all these values from this first survey that we collect to the second survey, which the first co-director will take. So we'll need all this information in the second one, so we can know who's taken the survey, who it's for, and we can pass information along that way. So after we do this, so we send this first one out, then they get this survey that they'll click on. They'll click on this survey here, and then they'll go into this part here, co-director 1, because if survey is equal to 2, which we did in here in the email trigger, we set survey equal to 2, and so that means it will go to the second part of the survey. So if survey equals 2, go to this part, and they fill this out. Now what we want to do is, based on their we have 3 different email triggers that we have to send out here. One to be sent to the next person, the second person, and then 2 to be sent if either they say yes, we need to send acceptance to the actual student to let them know that the first person accepted it, or no if they denied it. So we'll go into the triggers. So I set up this first one is called denial to student from co-director. So this, I set a condition here. This is only going to be a send out if survey equals 2. So it's the second survey. The first survey was the student's one. The second one's the co-director. And then if no is selected. Now we pass the information along in those embedded data in that query string, so we can use them from now on as embedded data. So we can use co-director's name. No email was sent to the second co-director. We could actually put in the embedded data for second co-director's name in here. You'll see I have email set for here. Email is set to the person's email here. And the way to get embedded data for each one of these is to go up to embedded data and then just type an email, and it will give you the code for email. So going back, just to make sure we understand, to survey flow, each one of these was collected in the first survey. So now that we passed them along in a query string, we can now use them in the other survey. And so we can use first name, last name, email, all of these things in the second survey since we passed them through a query string. And they're captured in these embedded data. So there's that first email trigger. The second one, it's in a little bit of a different order. Approval from co-director 1. So here's approval. If survey equals 2, second survey, and yes is selected, then we're going to send to this email, which is the person's email, and then approved. Email is going to co-director 2, or we could put in the embedded data for co-director 2's email, or name, co-director 2's name. And then, so we have that set up. So that's for the first one. Now we need to set up the the email that's going to the second director. So we set up the denial and the approval that goes to the student. Now we need to set up the email 2 that goes to the director. So email director 2 from approval of director 1. Now this is going to be the same condition up here that's set with the first one because we want it to be sent out if they say yes. If they say yes, they want to confirm, then we send it to the second director. So we have that set up, and then the email is going to be the second director, the email with embedded data that we took from the survey flow. And then we have field first name and last name that we have as embedded data has been approved. Your second approval is needed. So here, we'll do the same thing that we did in the other one. We'll take off this HTTPS and put www. And then we have all this information again. The only thing different is we changed it to survey 3 because we want in the next survey it to go to survey 3 for this person, not survey 2. If we didn't put in survey, then it would go to the first part again, which we don't want. If we put in survey 2, then it would go to the second one. We want survey 3. And we want to pass along all this information again in a query string again to survey 3. So we have all the information again. I just copied and pasted it from the last email trigger that we put in. Now we do the same thing where we give an approval and a denial email to the student from the second director. So we have the second director approval. So if in question 13 now, not question 13 is the one down here. There's a second one. There's a first one where they asked it. And we want the second one where they asked because this is the third survey. And then we send to that same the email address of the student. And then we have second co-director approve this. A final confirmation will go to the final director. This is once they approve it. And then we have that same one as a denial as well. If denial is, if they deny it, if it's in survey 3, then deny it, then co-director 2 denied your approval. And you can change all of this. This pipe text, you can use all the pipe text that's all the embedded data that's in the survey flow as anything you want. You can say, you can put their name here, first name, last name is embedded data. Like Jake West, this person denied your approval, no email will be sent. And then the last one we do, so we have the approval and denial from the second person. Now we have the co-director, or the last director, the third person who just gets the email trigger. So technically the fourth person. The fourth person gets the email trigger. And that one is set up to letter of confirmation to final director. And so here we have if survey 3 yes is selected, then we want to send that to this person. We want to send it to the final director. And I just put my name in here. You'll put whoever the final director is. And then I put these people approve the survey for this. And then that's pretty much all the information that they'll need. And you can put any other information you need as well in there. You can put contact the first director through this email, and then you can put in the email that's embedded data from here into that email trigger. This is a lot of information. I know it's a ton of information. I'm going through this in 15 minutes, and it took me a couple hours to put this together. So I know it's a lot of information. Feel free to contact me with any questions you have regarding this. It's going to be a little tough at first to set up. I recommend possibly drawing it out first so you can have it all organized and you can set it up. I showed you exactly how to do everything. So it's basically just organizing the data, your thoughts onto paper, and then putting it into the survey. I'm here for you to help. Just contact me through that email, and we'll go from there. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.